Hello there guys and welcome to another review after Raw. You are joined today by myself, Mr. Aru, and my co-host over here, Acidic Soul. Say hello.
Hello, internet.
There you go, sorted.
There we go.
As basically I noted, his Twitter link, well his Twitter name is actually fixed now. It's Vicar Saul, not Saul Vickers. I got it wrong. We all make
Brilliant.
mistakes. And I made a bad one. But yes, his Twitch and his Twitter are now the correct names from AcidicSaul09 and Vicar Saul on Twitter.
Marvellous. Thanks for sorting that out, mate.
It's alright, anything I can do for you. Right, so we begin with a new, I think it's a new Raw intro. Feel like it's a new Raw intro.
I'll be honest, I wasn't paying much attention.
Okay,
I
fair
just
dues.
saw all the fireworks going off and them telling us that they were in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Charlotte, North Carolina.
which we heard a lot
Yes,
this
actually,
episode.
yeah. I think it's a new Raw intro. I think because it's a season premiere, they've updated because there's a lot of Edge in a lot of Judgment Day, so it's definitely updated graphics. The song might be updated, I don't know, but I also saw a lot of Edge in the. I mean, we all know Edge is not quit. He's just off to do a movie or a couple of. I think he's doing a series or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so regardless, I think it's a new Raw intro. I'm not too sure. But so what starts us off?
We got the Judgment Day coming out. Um, they're getting a lot of booze still, obviously. And making their way to the ring. Once they got inside, they were going on about what a great year they've had so far. They've made Edge say, "I quit" at Extreme Rules. Um, Dom beat AJ last week,
Mm-hmm.
calling himself this generation's Eddie Guerrero, and then he sort of corrects himself and saying, "Oh, Eddie Guerrero is the last generation's Dominic Mysterio." So
Yeah.
that it got even more heat
Oh,
because of
nuclear,
how much
nuclear.
Eddie's over still. So yeah, that didn't go down too well with the crowd.
No. So what I got from mine was Judgment Day to start, recap Dom AJ, hype for OC versus Judgment Day,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a nice 3D logo. Do you know when they do like the weird kind of only you fans at home can see these like 3D?
Like the computer graphics.
Yeah, the computer graphics. So it
Yeah.
was a really nice Undertaker-esque like person with it had like a light symbol and a dark symbol and like
Mm-hmm.
a teeter balance thing, and it was incredible. I just thought it looked amazing. I put Rhea, the high five, I called it. Damian Priest had his hand really high, and Rhea jumped up to high five him, and like it's
Yeah.
goofy, and then she calls herself Mummy,
Mm-hmm.
and I love this punk emo goth wannabe whatever it is, but I love it.
Yeah. She's at the moment she's despite the fact she's got all this hate, she's still really really a center of attention for the group.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Balor's the supposed leader, but it feels like Rhea's the one pulling all the strings.
which do you know what is quite nice. I love it. I know Judgment Day have had a difficulty in the past, and they was definitely over when it came to Edge. That was a
Mm.
great match in itself on that pay per view. But I just love this group. Really talented people. And Money B, before you start, yes, Dominic Mysterio is talented. Stick that in your windpipe.
Mm.
Um, Shout out to Money B, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he exactly what you said, when he turned around and said that he is this generation's Eddie Guerrero. No, Eddie Guerrero is that generation Don Mysterio. The,
Yeah.
the heat, nuclear. But do you know
Mm-hmm.
what? That's the heat you want.
Yeah. I mean, ever since he's been acting like this, he's just such a more interesting character than he ever was when he was teaming with his dad.
Yeah, and like I said, he's like you said, character. I turned
Mm-hmm.
around and was like, his promos are getting better.
Yes, yep, 100% on that. Yeah, he's definitely improved since he's been with the Judgment Day.
Yeah, and like he's been sat there and they started, so we started talking, and then the place just booed him anyway. Because
Mm.
nobody likes Dominic Mysterio at this point, and everyone just booed him. And everyone's like, shut up, let him talk. And from what I saw, Finn Balor and Damian Priest were both putting over Dominic Mysterio to heavens, basically.
Mm.
So I
Yeah,
wonder if it may cause a Dominic Finn kind of storyline later on in the future, where it's a bit of battle for the Judgment Day, basically.
Yeah, control of the Judgment Day.
Yeah,
I could
because
definitely see something like that happening.
and does Rhea screw over Dominic or does she help Dominic? That's obviously all to come. Then we have the OC banging music because I love it.
Yeah.
As soon as what down, shut up, massive cheer, just massive. And follow one of my favourite comments of the night. Wow, you're this generation's James Ellsworth. Mr. Jimmy No Chin.
Jimmy No Chin. I just thought, oh, this is amazing.
Oh, I loved it. And I saw on Twitter, James Ellsworth like, you what? But it does feel weird having the OC as a face. I just feel like they're such a heel team. You know, I mean, we get later on, we get a little segment with him. But it does feel slightly weird, the OC's face. But then again, it works for him, and AJ in any position is incredible. Whereas, I think they're better as heels, but they do work as a face. So.
And yeah, especially when you've got them against a team like the Judgment Day, because no one likes them.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely see why they've been, with the history with AJ and everything that's going on. You can see why they've been positioned as faces for the time being. I mean, once the Judgment Day's feud's over, we might see a heel turn from them.
Yeah. Before we get on to the match, well, actually, it's during the match, but whilst the promo was going on, they kept mentioning that AJ took over the club, as we know it's not, it's a Bullet Club, back in Japan when Finn was leader, and then AJ took over. And that's what you referenced back to, was basically your sloppy seconds when it comes to teams, because I'm the creator of the original club, the Bullet Club, and you took over from me. You're in my shadow, basically. A nice little callback to Bullet Club stuff without mentioning Bullet Club.
Yeah, I suppose they still have to be quite careful about that.
Yes, because we obviously saw this, and I want to mention this. So we watched Halloween Havoc on Saturday, and they promoted Evolve and some other promotions where there's a lot of ex-WWE wrestlers. And I will say this from what I've seen, I don't think that WWE has an issue with showing ex-wrestlers. I think Triple H is on his head, knows that some of the best matches have come from ex-wrestlers. There was recently a WWE video uploaded, which was Braun Strowman versus tag teams. So you had FTR in there, you had Rhino and Heath Slater, and a couple of others, Titus O'Neil. I can't remember the rest, if I'm honest. But, and it is a comment in that someone's put in, you know who I'm on about here, probably. I don't think there's a problem with Triple H showing ex-wrestlers. I think Triple H, again, is on the understanding of, look, some of the best matches were from ex-WWE wrestlers. Your CM Punks, your Dean Ambroses, John Moxley, whatever. So with that, it's nice that they're referencing other promotions and what they've done, and not just alluding the fact that this is just Raw and that's all they've ever been.
Yeah. I mean, I think that all just stems back to Vince McMahon's attitude. He wanted WWE to just be like its own thing and not acknowledge that there's any other wrestling promotions around. He just wanted all the focus to be on WWE, and once you'd left there, you were pretty much forgotten about.
Yeah, and like I say, it's just nice to be able to see the people properly recognise what they did in WWE, because look, at the end of the day, some of these made their name in WWE, or some of them made their name elsewhere and came in. AJ Styles made his name everywhere before he came to WWE. Again, it's just those references of, yes, they was in Japan, they won titles in Japan, and they reference that, Carl Anderson is still a champion.
Yes, yeah.
So, but yeah, we're going to the match with Finn Balor and Carl Anderson. And again, mention Japan again. I love Balor's gear. His gear gets better. There was a lot, I've got to say, of "This is awesome" chants during this match.
And I've got the feeling you're going to tell me you didn't think it was that awesome.
No, actually, I did.
Did.
I did. However, so a couple of notes from this, obviously, and then we'll go your notes as well, get back and forth. And beautiful spine buster from Anderson. He has a really nice spine buster. And to be fair, they should work well together for the amount of years they've been traveling together.
Mhm.
You think with great chemistry comes great matches, and they did deliver in all fairness. So
Mhm.
quality match so far. There was a really nice enziguri counter. Finn went to do an enziguri to the top rope where Carl Anderson was, and he just
Mhm.
caught him by the legs.
Yeah.
And Finn's face is like, oh crap, kind of thing. And it was a really nice counter, just something simple that would make sense. You just grab him by the legs, like, now I'm stuck on the ropes. AJ absolutely dropped Dom on his head,
Yes. Yes. That
which
was
was
a good
beautiful.
moment.
Rhea Ripley slams Luke Gallows.
Yes, that was quite a shock. I mean, he did have some help because he got pushed into the post, didn't he? And
Yeah,
then he sort of bounced off of it. So there was a bit of momentum. It wasn't like he just went and hoisted him up all on her own. But yeah, that was still an impressive
yeah, amazing.
sight.
And then I'll leave this last note for the end. But like, what notes have you got on this?
Um, I've gone more for sort of like the approach of what the way the match ran.
Hmm?
We had Bella working over Anderson's. No, the other way around. We had Anderson working over Bella's legs for quite a while. He was trying to obviously reduce his mobility. Um, if you can't stand on two legs, then you're not going to be moving very far in a wrestling match.
No,
No.
unless you're that
But
kid that
then,
brought Lesnar F5 once upon a
mm,
time on SmackDown with one leg.
oh yes.
We'll bypass that for now.
Um, where there was a weird cut in the adverts. This is one of the things that does frustrate me. Like you'll have the action going on, and someone will be in front, and then you get the advert break, and you'll come back, and then as soon as you come back, the roles have reversed, and you've none the wiser to how they've actually got into that position.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm talking about there was a big run-in power bomb by Anderson on uh, Bella, and just before that was as soon as we came back from an advert break, and just before that, Bella had been in complete control of the situation.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, there was a lot of back and forth to be fair in this match, and then at the end we got what was the first of we'll probably cover it as we go on, but a lot of outside interference in
yes.
matches tonight.
So at this point, when this happened, and this is kind of why my opinion changed on this later on, is I didn't mind this at this
Hmm.
point. At, watching Raw for the first 20-25 minutes, this happened, and I was like, okay, I don't mind it. It makes sense with the Judgment Day. They're a dirty
Yeah.
group, and they can't win properly, realistically, apart from Concerto in Best Phoenix head off
Hmm.
at pay per view. But so Rhea runs in, so Rhea slams Gallows, goes, oh, is that too sweet for you? Is that too sweet
Mm.
for you? Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Gets in the ring, Carl Anderson picks up um Finn Balor
Bella.
to do
Hmm.
his move, and Rhea Ripley comes in and gives him quite a nasty low blow.
Yeah, it looked painful.
It looked painful. Sometimes the low blows look a bit but this one proper looked like straight up, you're getting it.
Hmm.
So I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. It would have been 4, and this is what I'll go on to. So I give it a 4 to start off with.
Hmm.
Because the low blow, I was like, okay, fine. But then as the night went on, I saw a recurring pattern, and then I ended up dropping it to a 3.5.
Hmm.
Because,
Oh.
well,
Hmm. No, you go ahead, mate.
I was going to say that because of this, like the constant stem throughout the match, it really put a down on this match for me, and we'll get to that later on.
Hmm.
But if it was only for the Judgment Day, it would have been a 4. It would have worked because Rhea is the one costing people the matches. Okay, fine. But again, the same thing kind of happened throughout the night.
Hmm. I mean, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I, and that was the score I originally gave it. But as we go through the matches, you'll start to notice how my ratings drop after we see the same sort of thing happening over and
Yeah.
over again. I mean, I really enjoyed the match, and the finish, as you said, at this point didn't bother me
Mm.
because I was expecting something like this from the Judgment Day.
Like I said, with their group, it works.
Hmm.
Then we get a Miz recap.
Hmm.
Cheap shot, obviously, from Miz to Dexter with the chair,
Mm-hmm.
and the truth is still about.
Yeah.
And that's all I really got from that little segment. And then we went on to the next part, and it was okay. Instead of Johnny wrestling, I'm now going to refer to him as Johnny Whistle.
Johnny Whistle.
I'll be honest, The Miz and Johnny Gargano are brilliant on screen together.
They've got good chemistry, haven't
Yeah,
they?
when they was walking down and they were going back and forth with each other, it was
Mm-hmm.
brilliant because Johnny isn't like, he doesn't hate The Miz, he just wants him to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny's like, yeah, go get him, sport, when he goes out to the ring. And it's just these funny little interactions that, for me, comedic wise, I love, because Johnny's such a great wrestler. He's a great personality, and in these skits, he really shows through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd
Just
agree with you there, mate.
brilliant. I also put Dexter's a stalker, yet face.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the direction we're going with because, by all accounts, he's got a very good reason for doing what he's doing to the
Yeah.
Miz. So, um, it's not like he's doing it just because he's a complete psycho and out to get him. Yeah, so I definitely think that Dexter will be a face when he finally properly appears.
Then we have Miz in the ring. If you want to take this one from there,
Yep. So we had Miz come out, and he did bring up some good things like where Jumper was. He said he hadn't seen him for weeks, but
he's missing.
as yeah, he's missing. If anyone's seen him, please let him know. But we'll find out little bit more about that in a
Did you say
second.
though? Oh, let me know on social media.
Yeah. I mean, he did a thing on social media yesterday. Uh, he was going to reveal the truth about something if he got 100,000 likes before Raw started.
Yeah.
And I think the last time I checked, he was up to about 563 likes. So that wasn't going too well. He also sort of mentioned about waking up in strange places each week after being
And in being
attacked
in some
by.
positions he doesn't want
Yeah.
to talk about.
I mean, I do love the Miz. He, even like with this sort of storyline, is making it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, is so. I think Miz is quite underrated for what he's actually done over the years, especially coming through Tough Enough and not winning, but
Mm.
coming coming along to be such a big star in WWE.
He's had a long journey.
Mm.
Very long journey to where he's got to. And like I say, he's a 2-time Grand Slam champ, I think, now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and do you know what? I think, personally, there should be a belt for the Grand Slam. Just side note, there should be a belt for Grand Slam. And it's not a belt you defend, it's a belt that gets given to you when you become a Grand Slam champion, because it's a big thing.
Yeah. It's
So,
not easy to do, is it?
no. And like I say, you've got to have held, is it the both mid card, the tag, and the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just think personally there should be a nice prestigious belt that they get. Joe, when they start giving the WWE belt to like these baseball teams and other stuff like that, I think there should just be like a nice Grand Slam belt, probably white, to give it a bit of prestige behind it. That's my view at least anyway. And just give it them as like a gift of, you've become a Grand Slam champion, kind of thank you for all the work you put in, and here's this champion, and he has something that he can only be like, look, I'm a 2-time, and he holds 2 belts. And again, he doesn't defend it, but it's like, look at me, I've got 2 Grand Slam belts because I've done this.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be a belt. It could be like the old NXT UK Heritage Cup or something like that. Just some sort of recognition that they've done this because it's quite a feat.
Like I say, it is a big thing to be a Grand Slam champ.
I mean, you don't get many of them in wrestling, do you?
No.
Not like every other wrestler's a Grand Slam champion.
Yeah. I mean, is Roman a Grand Slam champ? Has he won the United States? I mean, Brock Lesnar's not a Grand Slam champ, you think he would be. Like I say, he's not.
I can't remember if he's won the United States champion. He must have done in the past.
Possibly. No, that was Dean Ambrose with the United States. I don't know. But go back to the segment. Sorry for the off. But so yeah, he in his, like I say, is what you say. He's underrated. He's just, every time he's delivered, apart from the zombie thing a couple of months ago, but he's always delivered, and he's a funny character, and you can tell he's having fun with this as well.
Yeah, he's enjoying himself, isn't he? And it shows through with the work he does.
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, mention of champion missing. And then he goes, actually, there is a reason. There is a reason. His mind. What?
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, Champion's my best friend. I'm like, wow. Miz does not have best friends. Miz does not have. And he's still got the picture from the Logan Paul feud of him and Tommaso in like a Pokemon card box thing. And I was like,
On
this.
it around his neck. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was saying his mind, you know, that over the years he's wrestled, Dexter wants to preach his mind and he was trying to do a selfless act. Obviously, the typical Miz bull crap.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Gargano comes out
Mm-hmm.
and was like, I've just texted Tommaso. He's just texted me back actually. He's injured. He's on the shelf.
Yeah.
And it's and then Miz starts turning around, he gets major boos because it's the Miz, and basically turns around and says, I'm gonna tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I'll let you go on the next bit, but at this point I was like, is he actually gonna tell the truth? I did not see this coming from a mile off. What happened?
We got an appearance from R-Truth, and I must admit I love this.
Yeah.
As soon as he came out, and all the crowd were singing along to him, and he's coming out dancing. And R-Truth again is another really underrated superstar, if you ask me. The amount he's so versatile. I mean, he does comedy stuff brilliantly. He can actually go in the ring as well,
Yeah.
and he just makes me die with the stuff he comes out of. Oh, the only thing I was disappointed about with this segment was we didn't get any Little Jimmy references
Yeah.
because that Luke just made it. But yeah, it comes out and
He's so
it's like,
over.
yeah, you want to tell the truth? I'm here. And the Mrs. face when he says that is just like,
What?
truth come from another planet. And I mean, I was curling up here when I was watching it.
This was brilliant. So he goes on about North Carolina and stuff like that, and he turns around and says, "I don't care about you going off at me, but you do not disrespect North Carolina, North Carolakis, mac and cheese." And everyone's cheering for mac and cheese, and that's like he's able to say anything, R-Truth. Like this whole intro when he was doing his ring walk, and obviously he's rapping, "What's up? What's up?" Everyone's going off, and he's brilliant. And he's on about North Carolina's mac and cheese.
Oh, please.
It was just brilliant stuff. It really was. I put hashtag no balls.
They brought up the ball situation
Yep.
again, yeah.
Yep. No deflator, but didn't realize you had no balls. And again, Johnny and Truth here. Johnny Gargano just has a genuine connection with people. It looks like him and the Miz earlier on, just before this segment, and R-Truth and Johnny here was amazing. Like being in sync on words, it was brilliant. Again, just two lads that are having fun. You know, that are just enjoying the job and what they do.
Yeah, they had the line about you can't handle the truth, didn't they? And they both said it together, Gargano and Truth. And it was just such good chemistry and fun to watch.
It was brilliant. And then we get an ad break, and I want to bring this up because the USA Network promoted something called Barmageddon. Now, the reason I put this in there is simply, one, it's got Nikki Bella in it, but two, it's also got Sasha Banks in it. And this was being promoted on the USA Network that also obviously premieres Raw. So I'm not saying anything WWE related, but I just found it kind of ironic that this was the next advert after we just gone off air, the ad break on Raw, and we get Sasha Banks promos in this Barmageddon TV show. So, and I don't know how the USA Network's relationship with WWE is. I'm not into all that. I don't know about any of it. But I just saw that and I was like, oh, Sasha Banks. Like, it was weird to see her with Raw, even though she wasn't on Raw. It was weird to see her with Raw. That makes sense. Yeah, the match. So we come back and we've got R-Truth versus Miz match.
Yeah, the battle for Charlotte's mac and cheese, I think they called it.
Yeah.
At the start.
Go on.
Well, not really a lot to say, is there, about this? It was 2 minutes, if that, with another distraction finish.
Yeah.
I didn't actually give this a rating originally.
Oh.
Because there was just nothing to it. If I was rating it on comedic value for the whole segment, I'd have probably given it a 4.5 because I absolutely loved
Yeah.
the segment. But the match itself was just nothing. It was, for me, it was a waste of 2 minutes that they could. Not that there's anything they could really filled it with, but yeah.
Yeah. I give this 4 out of 5, and
Mm-hmm.
it's mostly based on comedic factor. The only things I pointed out was John Cena comeback by R-Truth, childhood hero,
Mm-hmm.
even though R-Truth's older than Cena.
Yeah.
But we'll bypass that, shall we? Yeah, we saw and also we saw 2 variations. We saw Miz do Daniel Bryan's running knee, which still looks awful to this day.
Mm.
And then we also saw R-Truth do John Cena's comeback,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "You can't see me," and then he gets kicked in the head. And Dexter appears, or at least we think it's Dexter. R-Truth steals a win, which again I thought was quite funny. And then it just turns out to be Johnny Gargano dressed as Dexter Loomis.
Yeah. With the
Which,
gloves on.
at this point, this interference didn't actually bother me as much.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wasn't in the ring, and it kind of signifies how terrified The Miz is of Dexter. He's like, "Get it, security, get him out. And he's distracted, and he's completely focused on Dexter. And that sounds weird to say, but he's completely focused on the distraction of Dexter Loomis.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's just Johnny Gargano playing a trick. And it's
Yeah.
brilliant because, if I'm honest, I looked at it and went, "Oh crap, Dexter's actually stood there."
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't realise because the hood's down, you maybe tell body shape, but I wouldn't guess that well. And yeah, Johnny's there in the whole Dexter, and he pulls the hood off, and he's just there playing with the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, sorry, he was sort of hunched over, so it was difficult to tell the body
yeah,
shape, wasn't it?
and like I said, for this, I don't mind this interference as much. It still is an interference of some sort, but I didn't mind this as much because he wasn't in the ring, didn't physically change anything.
Mm.
He just messed with. It was a mental interference,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I don't mind this as much. It was funny. Mrs. like, "Get him out." Oh, it's Johnny. Johnny's playing a prank on him. Brilliant stuff. So yeah, I give that 4 out of 5 for that altogether. The match, as you said, wasn't much,
No.
but it was more story wise and comedic wise that I
Mm-hmm.
rated that highly.
Yeah.
Then we get Kathy Kelly.
Yeah, and interviewing Candice LeRae.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you on this, but I just want to say it's so nice seeing Kathy Kelly back on our screens.
Mm-hmm.
She has got a real personality and a presence on WWE.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. She definitely has. It's good to have her back. The interview itself wasn't really much of an interview because Damage Control turned up to interrupt poor old Candice. Um, Bailey even was talking about how they've been taking apart the women's division. They've already taken out Oscar, Alexa, and Becky Lynch, and tonight they're gonna take out Bianca as well. And then they set about beating up Candice backstage as well.
Yes,
Um, didn't really get to see much of what happened.
camera just tilted.
Yeah, but later on we got a report that she'd suffered a shoulder injury.
Yes.
Yep, so that's sort of similar in line with what had happened to Becky, and
Oh, you can't do much here. So
yeah, so
the thing that for me here, I only got one note out of this, and it was the nerve that got struck when Candice turned around and says, "Well, these two are tag champs, and you're not Raw Women's Champion yet." She's like, "Yet," kind of thing.
yeah,
And I just thought, okay, good little character flaw. She's still upset about not being thinking. She very visibly upset. Yeah, and she's
yeah,
like, "Look, I'm gonna be." So nice little character flaw in there. As you said, nothing much. This quick little interview
no.
to go and beer up from what we can understand. Shoulder injury.
I did like that they've sort of referenced how they've gone about taking out all their competition and
Yeah.
they're targeting Bianca next. But as you say, there wasn't really much to the segment.
Yeah. I will say a lot of this show as well. I found a lot of impromptu matches when going back through. I mean, we had Carl and Finn was scheduled anyway. But then obviously the Miz and R-Truth wasn't scheduled.
No.
And then I'm coming on to the next bit in the next segment backstage. We have Elias.
Yep. Walking in and running across Riddle, who's been practicing his bong all week. And they sort of spoke about what happened the week beforehand, and how Elias was like, "Oh, I don't appreciate. I've been interrupted a lot in the past. I don't really appreciate it, but you got on well with my brother, so I'm giving you a pass this time. Just
Yeah.
don't let it happen again."
I just think Riddle can be so much better than this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for Randy to be back and pull Riddle out the depths, because I just don't think this is a good use of Riddle. So I put Elias and Riddle rivalry ? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple of moments in this. So Elias is on about stuff and he goes to turn and you see Elias just stand behind him and start to raise his guitar.
Yeah, lifted the guitar.
It was a
up, didn't
really
he?
nice little thing of he's about to hit him with the guitar. He's raising it. And then who comes in? The Alpha Academy.
Mm.
My favourite line, I'll be honest, I zoned out at this point because
Mm-hmm.
I love Chad, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think he said anything relevant. The only one thing I pointed out was Blink 180, shoosh. I thought that was amazing. I thought, Joe, what, that is amazing. I love that. And then they said, right, that's the case. Let's fight about it.
Yep, gonna have a match, and this goes back to you saying about impromptu matches, because we've got another one coming up now with Elias versus Gable, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the issue I had with Raw a long time ago. A lot of it seemed to be, oh, you looked at me funny, let's have a match.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no solid storyline behind it. I know that obviously Elias and Riddle are doing whatever they're doing, but you've got Gable coming to the mix. Why don't you just grab the guitar and smash Gable around the head with it and be done with it? Because he said, the next person who fears me is going to pay. And I'm sorry, but you was willing to raise the guitar behind Riddle's head. Gable interrupts you. Just smack him with the guitar.
Yeah.
He interrupted you. There's your payback. But it just felt a lot like a Raw of old, which is a lot of impromptu matches with, oh, you looked at me funny, let's have a match.
Mm-hmm.
So,
lots of distraction finishes as well.
yeah. It's Austin Theory versus Mustafa Ali next.
Yep, I don't think this wasn't scheduled, I don't think, but as they were both making their way to the ring, we got a couple of sort of short videos, didn't we, about some, I'm assuming it was social media interaction they had that led to this match.
I'll be honest, I didn't even clock it. I just saw that it was Theory versus Ali next, and that was it. Enough. I didn't see it promoted anywhere. It just felt like it was a match on the card that was going to happen, but it just didn't get relevance to it. So, first put up, if Austin Theory gets rid of the selfie crap, he's got something. He did a backstage segment as he was walking down to the ring, and the anger and passion he showed was incredible. No selfie crap, just him turning around saying, I'm the youngest United States champion, I'm the youngest Money in the Bank winner. Look at me. And kind of thing. And he looks better, I've got to say, with this like beard and full kind of facial he's got going on. He just gets rid of the selfie crap. He is gonna go places. He is very talented. He's got a good promo on him. I think the selfie is just shocking. It reminds me of, not of Tyler Breeze, because Tyler Breeze, when he did it, was amazing, and that was his gimmick. But I just look and go, you're taking a selfie, and it just doesn't work. And I get it's trying to cater to the younger audience, myself, 24 and younger, but it just doesn't work for me. It's too gimmicky.
I mean, he did mess about with a selfie later on in the match, didn't he? And that almost cost him. So maybe we will see the selfie gimmick dropped at some point.
I'm hoping so, personally. And as they're coming down, we get Seth's music. So Ollie makes his entrance. Sorry, Ollie makes his entrance. I didn't really say anything. His gear looks alright. But other than that, I didn't really have anything of significance to say until Seth, basically, his music hit.
I think Seth coming out sort of for the beginning and throughout the match, it certainly made it a bit more interesting. Having Seth on commentary is always good.
Yes.
And having the crowd gave him such a good reaction while he was sitting there. He was doing his orchestra stuff with them singing along to his theme while the match is going on. But yes, when Ali came out, it didn't really stand out in any sort of way, did it? It's just sort of like him coming out, matches ready to go, and then I think Seth got a bigger pop than Ali, didn't
Yeah.
he? When he came out.
So Seth came out. Fashion choice questionable. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Seth's fashion is questionable anyway, but this one was a bit more questionable. It was bright lime, which
Mm-hmm.
was an eyesore, but in all fairness, only Seth can pull that off. I will give him that. Against over, Seth and commentary, brilliant. Call back to Theory being his disciple.
Yep.
Nice little touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, it was just there going, doing the orchestra. You can't see me at this
Yeah.
point, but I'm doing the orchestra thing. Still singing Seth's music. Oh, and then most of the match when I saw it was all Theory. Mustafa nearly didn't get any offense in.
No. The first time I got some big offense in was when Theory went through for to take the selfie
Yeah.
picture of himself, and Ali then sort of drop kicked him to the back of the head, and then did a 450 splash from the top rope to the outside and caught Theory there. But apart from that, there wasn't really much going on. I think he hit one tornado DDT from
Yeah.
the corner at one point.
Yeah, the only other
But
things I have really is we want Seth chance, which I thought was not disrespectful, but a bit unfortunate to Ali and Barry, because if you're chanting "We want Seth," you're not getting the response you need. You're chanting for another wrestler, and it's not the best look. If it's just
sorry, going back to that, that's one other thing. Like I say, originally when Seth came out, I thought this was good because it's going to give the segment a bit more bite. But by the end of it, the crowd were more interested in Seth than the actual action going on in the ring. I felt.
There was a great backflip from Ali. He jumped up on top rope and backflipped off. It was quite nice. The neck breaker by Austin Theory to the outside. Ouch. Painful. I put Ali so good, and so is Theory. Really, two talented wrestlers just not getting enough time to show off, and also not the right storyline to show off. Because Austin Theory's stagnant right now. He appeared in NXT, teased it, nothing since. Back on main roster, yeah, okay, there's Seth. And Seth was kind of congratulating him slightly, being our former disciple. But apart from that, Theory's not got anything going for him.
No, there's no sort of momentum for him, is there? He's got that money in the bank briefcase, and it just feels like he's not going to do anything with it. It's not worth him cashing it in against Roman, because even if Roman had been beaten up, he's not going to have much of a chance to win. Going back to what you said, he had the appearance on NXT last week, and I thought we spoke about this, I think, didn't we? About how maybe we could see him cashing in against the winner of the triple threat match at Halloween Havoc. But nothing materialised from that, so yeah.
And then we've got so I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 until the finish, in which case I gave it a 3 out of 5 due to interference.
I gave that a 3.5 out of 5.
Again, another interference ruined it for me. Like I look back and yeah, this episode wasn't the best, but we'll get there. We get a little thing afterwards. Seth clearly saying, "Oh, you're not good enough to be in the ring with me, so why are you bothering with him, Seth? Why are you trying to chuck him about places and say you're not worthy? If he wasn't worthy, you walk off and leave him." Obviously, Ali's got underneath his skin. Again, good little character flaw, but just one of those. So they start going off, and you think, "Oh, Seth's walking off." And at this point, Seth's walking off way too slow. I knew that something's happening. I'm waiting there going, right, what's going to happen? And he comes out of nowhere. Yeah, you could tell. And he comes out of nowhere, clears him out. They both start fighting each other, gets thrown into the screen, and then he just cowards out, basically. And he's like, "Oh, I'm your problem now." I'm sorry, Ali, but it's not working.
No.
And I'll get more onto this in a second with the match when it comes about not working. But and yeah, that finishes that, and then we get JBL and Corbin.
Mm-hmm. I thought first of all we had Miz chasing Gargano as he went to check on Candice.
Yeah, you did. So I forgot about it. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, Johnny is going. Oh, I need to go find Candice.
yep. And then Corbin turned up.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
So yeah, it was a case of you need to go check on, which is nice little kayfabe. They
Mm-hmm.
are saying they're together, which they are,
Mm-hmm.
and that he needs to go check on Candice. Is this the point where Miz gives him the card?
No, I think that was
That's
a little bit
later.
later.
Let me
Yeah.
have a quick look. Yeah, it is later. Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. Yeah, so we got 5 pages worth this time. So yeah, Johnny then walks off, and JBL and Corbin are there.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Well, last week, one of the things that I didn't notice was JBL's pants last week,
Yes.
and it took you pointing it out to me later on about this. We had a chat in the Discord, didn't we, about it? But one of the things that really cracked me up with this bit was Gargano referencing the MC Hammer pants.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
And Jesus, that was so funny, and also sort of mentioning about what's Corbin known as now because he's had so many different names. Yeah, it was a nice little segment with them. You've got someone who the crowd are going to get behind in Gargano,
Yeah.
and then you've got Corbin and JBL, who are some pretty decent heels. But once we get to the match, I've got a few more issues with what's happened here.
Another thing from this segment, he goes, what you call Baron Corbin, Happy Corbin, Summit Corbin, Boring Corbin. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant because he turned around and was like, oh, Boring Corbin.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was one of those cases of like, it's a really nice thing. Like, kind of weird, but as in like, name changes. And he's boring. Like, nothing against Corbin, but his character got stale. JBL's definitely helped him out of that. But it's just a nice thing of Johnny again having a laughing joke and just going, Happy Corbin, Boring Corbin. And yeah, impromptu match again, and that gets set up for later on in the night.
Yep.
Then we find out Bianca and Bayley are the main event for the show. Which I'm glad because there was no female action apart from this match.
No, it's the only one we got tonight. Normally WWE are better at giving females a bit of a spotlight than say AEW. AEW's pretty awful for women's wrestling.
Raw's issue right now. Also, I know you had Rhea in the Judgment Day, but Rhea's not actually facing anybody. The issue Raw's got right now is you've got Alexa, Asuka, nowhere to be seen. No. Bianca and Bayley taking up. Damage Control the tag champs with no real challenges. Your kind of superstars are over on SmackDown. You've got Ronda, you've got Liv, you've got Sonya Deville, if she is in NXT or whatnot. You know, you've got Shotzi, you've got Raquel Gonzalez, you've got Aaliyah. I think Natalia's on that brand as well.
I mean, you've got Candice, who's got beaten up earlier in the evening.
Yeah.
And Becky, who's still off injured. So yeah, there's not much in the way of female wrestlers on Raw at the moment. Although that we'll talk about it again later. We do have a return a bit later on.
Yes. So then I didn't notice anything, and then we go to my worst part of Raw altogether.
Omos versus. I mean, I didn't even get their name, so I've just got Omos versus Jobbers written down.
Yeah, Omos versus 4 standard generic Kratos wrestler. Pause on SmackDown versus Raw 2008. Is what I went with. Yeah, just before we even get in, Omos just doesn't have it.
No.
I don't know what it is. I sound like Jericho here, but he just doesn't have it. It's a case of AJ has tried to help him, and it worked slightly, but nothing materialized.
No.
And now he's got MVP. He can't get over. You know, this Braun Strowman Omos thing, which went off of SmackDown, so Omos pushed Braun out of the ring on SmackDown. which was okay, and Braun's laughing it off. In all fairness, Omos is a giant compared to Braun Strowman, which is a mental thing to say.
I think the scale comparison is probably the one thing that I've liked about this, because you're so used to Braun being just dwarfing everyone else, but to actually see him dwarfed by someone
Yeah,
is quite a sight. But apart from that, I've just got no interest in this feud, and even less interest in what happened in this match.
I give it 1 out of 5. There's
Yeah,
a couple of spots here, which I'll go on after you. Gone.
I just gave it half a star. Knew what was going to happen. That there's never any chance that there was going to be an upset or anything with jobbers against Omos.
Yeah.
And this was something we were doing a year ago with Omos, and we're still doing it now. So yeah, just
Like, I
why?
saw 4-1 handicap match. I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if you give 4 jobbers in WWE, such as Angel Garza, and I'm not saying they are jobbers, but I'm just referencing Angel
Mm-hmm.
Garza, Humberto Carrillo,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Titus
Um,
O'Neil, maybe. No, he's a bit too big.
maximum male models.
Maximum Male Models, right? Put those 2 in. That 4-1 handicap has a bit more oomph about it because they're actually
Mm-hmm.
WWE superstars.
Yeah, you've got a bit more interest in it. But
Yeah.
when you've got four random, like you say, generic creator wrestlers, why? What's the point?
The
It's
2 things in this, there was a really bad post spot. So because Omos is that tall, to create
mm,
an impact in the corner, he did the whole kind of splash thing where his arms go over, and he ended up hitting the post with both his hands to make that post sound.
mm-hmm,
Because he hasn't got enough offense. And I says it, Omos's offense looks weak.
mm,
He doesn't look like he could hurt you. He looks like a big cuddly giant.
mm,
Braun Strowman, excuse the phone, that is my WWE going off.
no worries.
It's just Supercard, basically telling me my pack and my fusion's done. Oh,
Mm,
there's that. Always WWE, me. But yeah, like there was a part where he goes for a kick, completely goes over his head. Now I'm not saying
mm,
that is Omos, that might be the job of Sword a bit meh, but
mm,
everything Omos does just doesn't scream out to me like he's gonna hurt you. Braun Strowman, when he's running
mm,
through you, looks like he's actually gonna run through you.
mm-hmm,
You know, he goes into the ring, he does these moves, and Omos does this toss. And I reference it in the Baron Corbin match later on. I literally say, and I'm gonna get to it here, is that's how you throw Omos.
mm,
Because he goes for a throw, and from what I understand, you're supposed to pick him up and launch him up and kind of over to give that impact of, oh my god, he's launched him.
yeah,
He kind of just tossed him to the side.
mm,
And what, this again was a 2-minute match? I mean, at least the R-Truth and Miz was funny.
yes, yeah.
This
Added
was,
a comedic value, didn't it, in that?
this
But
did
this
nothing
was
for him.
no.
Like,
I mean, Eve, when Braun came back, he was getting in the ring. It wasn't like proper matches, but he was wrecking sort of two tag teams, wasn't he?
yeah.
And these were like proper WWE mid card or low card or whatever you want to call them, but these were proper WWE
Mm,
stars. And so that made him seem threatening and powerful. He's getting in there and demolishing everyone. This just did absolutely nothing for Omos.
no.
It was just a waste of a segment for me.
I wasn't happy with it. I'm just there like, okay, the
Mm-hmm.
quicker we get to Crown Jewel and Braun Strowman almost finished, the better. Because
Yeah.
I don't like Braun Strowman. Yes, fair enough, he might have destroyed Otis and Chad, but at least they gave him offense. Chad Gable
Mm-hmm.
suplexed Braun Strowman for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They built Braun to be a monster, and it's like, look, he can get slammed, but look, and they built Chad Gable up well with that. It's like, Gable's just suplexed Braun Strowman.
Mm.
You know, like crazy ridiculous that is. And it's one of those things for me where it's like there's nothing been done by WWE to give this giant monster feel to Omos.
Mm. I mean, with like going back to when Braun was facing like the Alpha Academy and that, it may, even though you expected Braun to win, he looked powerful. It made him look powerful because he's fighting these sort of named superstars.
Yeah.
But when with Omos against these four no names, I'd have expected someone like AJ Styles to go in this 4-on-1 match and win easily. So seeing
Yeah.
someone Omos's size demolish four jobbers, it just does nothing.
this point, Dominic Mysterio could have won that 4-on-1.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Yeah, they just they posed no threat, and they didn't make Omos look like he was some dominant force. He was
Yeah.
just throwing around for ragdolls, effectively.
This is a callback to Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman, but also to Ryback and Mark Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same issue they always have. They try and put these monsters over by giving them jobbers all the time. Ryback, especially at this point. We go back to Ryback and Mark Henry, and yes, Mark Henry beat Ryback because they essentially squished him. Because Ryback tried to pick Mark Henry, was too much. Bam, on the floor, 1, 2, 3, done. Ryback should have won that match, but that's a ways away in a different story. But with this, yes, it's not having jobbers, but again, is what you said. They need to look menacing. Ryback was stiff. He was stiff, but it still looked like it hurt. It probably did.
Yeah,
Like the clothes, yeah.
He'd have dealt
But
quite a bit of pain out.
it's the act of looking real. You know, it's when Braun Strowman slams you, it looks like it's gonna hurt. When he clotheslines you, you're getting your head took off. When JBL did his clothesline from hell, your head's getting took off.
Yeah.
It's the art of looking real. And nothing looks... Again, it's just... Something about Omos isn't clicking. The crowd aren't into it. They don't give a crap, really. They're just like, meh. They're not even giving a reaction. They're just like, okay, cool, Omos is here. And Omos and MVP are probably brilliant people. Nothing against them. So, probably brilliant people. But it's... For me, Omos just hasn't got what he needs yet. There's time, obviously. But it just looks weak. He's still very green. You can tell he's very green. And I wonder at 7'3", it's going to be a lot harder to wrestle than at 5'10", 6'2", because obviously his size. But Undertaker's 6'11", and he was able to do a lot of things for his height and his size. He was incredible. So, I mean, even Andre the Giant at the time was massive, but he got, like I say, he slammed Hulk Hogan, you know, and obviously Hulk Hogan slammed him, which at that feat is incredible. You know, if you have someone such as like Braun Strowman slamming Omos shouldn't be an issue because of the size. No. It's someone like Cesaro and Big Show back when they did the Battle Royale. Cesaro picked up the Big Show and actually tossed him out the ring to win.
Yeah.
That's the feat you want. You want a David and Goliath situation, not a David and David or Goliath and Goliath. It doesn't work. And then,
I mean, I think the problem they've got as well is what are they going to do? And they're going to send him to the performance center, but I can't see how he's going to particularly improve there because it's just so big.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the end game is going to be with him now.
Like even at AJ's bodyguard, he worked slightly, but even AJ couldn't save him, which is unfortunate. Then speaking of Chad Gable, we have Elias versus Chad Gable.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't have a lot for this. The only things I had were good match, crowd slightly into it. Otis eats post.
Yeah.
And Chad lost again. Finish was meh.
Yeah. There's quite a bit of back and forth, I suppose, in this. Match was okay. We had some, like you say, Otis eating the post. Gable had an ankle lock at one point.
That looked weird.
Yeah, it did look a bit strange, didn't it? Elias up on the top rope. Elias up top. Gable counters with a kind of crucifix that ended up into some sort of DDT that he dropped him down into. Gable went for the moonsault, and that was countered into a knee for a near fall. It was an all right match, but just nothing really to write home about.
Yeah. I give this
even though Otis was outside, there wasn't like any real. It didn't affect the outcome of the match. I will say that about.
Yeah. I give this a 2 out of 5. And do you know what? Here, maybe it could have used an Otis interference. Maybe it could have used it, but Chad lost clean. So Elias's finishing move is Goldust's move. picks him up and spins him. It's the final
Yeah,
call or something. I think they call it
curtain call.
curtain
Is what
call. Yeah,
Goldust used to call
that's the
it.
one.
Yeah.
And that's his finisher because he used to have the think crossroads, didn't he? Elias used to have
Mhm.
the crossroads, and
Yeah.
then Cody's back, so now he uses the crossroads.
Mhm.
So Elias had to change the finishing move, and he's now got Goldust curtain call, which is a good
Mhm.
move if done correctly. This didn't look like it was done the best it could have been.
Particularly no. Then
Um,
post match we had a beatdown, didn't we, of
yes,
Gable and Otis on Elias, and then Randy comes out, makes a save. He um, hit the bro to sleep and a floating bro to the outside. That was fine, but as we've alluded to earlier, we're not quite sure where this is going at the moment. Are they Elias and um, Randy going to be feuding? I'd imagine they are.
yeah, I just put Riddle deserves better.
Hmm.
Nothing against um Chad, Otis, and all this lot, but Riddle is in that. I mean, he's just lost obviously to Seth for the title, but he is
Hmm.
in that upper mid card to main event slot. But again, issue we don't have a main event slot on Raw.
No, yeah. I mean, Seth's great. Seth is going to be great as the US champion, but they need a world title back on Raw.
Yeah. Is Logan going to be? No, he's not.
No, and how are they going to get the? That's the other issue they've got. How are
Yes.
they going to get it off of Roman?
So I was on Instagram earlier, and someone called Authors of Wrestling. I will give him a shout out.
Hmm.
You don't know who I am, but I follow his thing, and he does stuff like this. He basically turned around and says, "I've got an issue with the Bloodline. There's been no
Hmm.
tag team matches near enough since they unified the belts.
Hmm.
Tag team's not been a thing. Roman's got both belts and basically holding them hostage. Nothing's coming of it. Solo Seeker's probably going to win a title at some point to up
Mm.
the Bloodline. Where is the end goal? Is it more of a detriment or something else? I can't remember the word. But basically, he was asking, are the Bloodline now a detriment to the WWE?
Hmm.
And I'd have to say I agree to some parts because, yeah, Roman's doing Crown Jewel, but Logan
Mm.
Paul, you've got to the point where Roman hasn't got a competitor. He's had to go Logan Paul. And nothing against Logan
Yeah.
Paul, amazing athlete,
Mm.
amazing wrestler from what we've seen so
Mm.
far.
Is
But
he going to win? Hell no.
one lucky
Never in a
shot,
million years.
I'm sorry, but this one lucky shot is a bag of crap.
Hmm.
I'd look, yes, he's alluded to the fact that Mayweather couldn't knock him out. It was an exhibition match. They wasn't knocking each other out.
Mm.
But Logan Paul's not a boxer. And like a full-fledged Mayweather boxer. He's a good boxer, don't get me
Mm.
wrong. But he hasn't knocked anybody out. Logan Paul hasn't got a knockout on his record. So
Hmm.
why are we now trying to put across one lucky shot as if Logan Paul's got a knockout on his card?
Hmm.
And again, nothing against Logan Paul, amazing
No.
athlete, amazing person for what I know. But it doesn't add up. If you was to turn around and say, someone's actually got a knockout on the card,
Mm.
like a Tyron Woodley, for instance, Jake Paul even. Jake Paul,
Hmm.
his brother, has got knockouts on his card. He knocked out Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
And that, alright, fine, one lucky shot works with his brother. But Logan just hasn't got the one. I think it's crap. One lucky shot. I think it's a bag of crap, honestly.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, can we honestly see them making Logan Paul the unified champ over
No.
Roman?
He
No.
will win a champ one day. I
Hmm.
have no doubt Logan Paul will win a championship one day. A mid card title, maybe. Hell,
Hmm.
even maybe a main roster title they might hold for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
But
against Roman, no.
no. No.
I know this on SmackDown because Roman was heavily featured more on Raw than what he has been SmackDown the past couple of weeks, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Every near enough match or segment, press one, Roman Reigns.
Hmm.
All I saw this whole thing.
Yeah, that was in a lot of the sort of clips, wasn't it? Throughout the show, FS1 Roman
Yeah.
Reigns.
But this is the issue. You're promoting Roman Reigns on Raw from SmackDown.
Hmm. But it's never on SmackDown, is
Yeah, and also that's your main event guy for both brands,
mm.
near enough. And he's not on Raw. He
Mm.
holds both titles. He should be on Raw.
Mm.
He needs to be on Raw at some point.
Hmm. I mean, years and years ago, when they very first did the sort of brand split, and they had like one unified world title, the champ would always bounce between both shows, and that worked. Yeah. he'd have to appear on Raw and on SmackDown.
Yep.
But, and then eventually they split it so each brand had a title. But
Mhm.
for a while there was one world title. Champ has to appear on both shows.
Yeah.
And that was that'd be fine if that was what they were doing, but they're not, are they?
No.
Sort of here and there when Roman turns up.
Then we get a backstage segment with the OC. I love this.
Yeah, it's goofy, but it was
Yeah.
still funny.
We have a rear problem,
Mm-hmm.
which it was funny, and we need a re-illusion.
Really.
So are the OC getting a female?
Well, this is what I'm thinking. Has there ever been a female member of the Bullet Club? I can't remember.
I can't remember, but who's to say that it's not somebody, let's say, from the past or something? You know, maybe in different things. I mean, I can't think of who would join the OC, the female.
No.
Liv Morgan seems out of the picture. The only
Mm-hmm.
person, honestly, I can think of is Charlotte Flair. Because AJ and Charlotte Flair for the tag team,
Oh
they
yeah,
do the
they
mixed
used
tag.
to do mixed tag, didn't they? Yeah. And Charlotte's meant to be returning at some point soon, isn't she? So
It's a weird
yeah.
feud to have a go into, but that's the only person that has a connection with one of the OC members.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they bring someone from NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Roxanne Perez, maybe? A bit
Possibly.
off, but she obviously Rhea beat Roxanne Perez.
Mm-hmm.
But they could bring Roxanne Perez up from NXT into the OC because Gallows and Anderson were down in NXT, obviously.
Yeah, with Cameron Grimes the other
Yeah,
week.
and that could be a little connection to bring Roxanne up to the main roster to have her against Rhea.
Yeah,
because she's fought against Rhea, so she knows what Rhea's like. Again, but Charlotte Flair and Roxanne, I think, are the only two that, because again, Raquel Rodriguez is on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anyone on SmackDown you can bring. I really don't think there's a female that works well with OC other than Roxanne and Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
If any of you guys know anybody, let us know in the comments or at us on Twitter. Who you think could be in? Because please, by all means, we're open to suggestions because we're not sure, are we?
Mm-hmm. And I think they do need a female because they in the OC now, because obviously they're still not willing to actually physically attack Rhea Ripley, and she's just going to constantly get involved. So they need to make it like three guys and a female against another three guys and a female. And I think that will probably make it a bit more interesting seeing someone who's actually physically able to go up against Rhea.
Yeah, maybe they bring someone in from the outside. Maybe they've got someone signed that we don't know about that's going to make a debut that comes back with the OC, you know, kind of thing. Because other than that, I seriously cannot think of anybody. So Gallows then says, "Well, sorry, go on."
Oh, sorry, and because he says, "Oh, like, I'm good with women."
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously AJ and Anderson are like, "Oh no, he's terrible with women." So he's obviously not going to chat Rhea up and try and sort it out that way. He's gone to recruit someone, hasn't he?
Yeah. Then I put feels weird seeing so much JBL because JBL gets his entrance at this point, and he's not got MC Hammer pants. He's learned his lesson.
Yes.
He has normal trouser pants. But it does feel weird seeing so much JBL, but I enjoy seeing JBL. I think that's the thing. As he's coming down to the ring, he stands in the ring. We then get another. I don't think anything actually happened. He just made his entrance.
Did a bit of a talk and.
Well, I think that was after because we get Gallows and Anderson again. In between that, because Gallo comes back in, he's holding his gonads. And he basically turns around and says, "Yeah, I'm not good with women." We have a real problem, and he admits it, and that's kind of where that ends, really. Which I thought was a little funny segment again. He's gone out and he's got hit in the goonad. And he's like, "Yeah, no, it didn't work." So they are looking for what it seems for a female to join the OC. And then yes, we cut back to JBL in the ring. JBL here, I will say, nuclear. Again.
He's so good at drawing the heat on himself. He winds everyone up, doesn't he?
Yeah. It just incredible. Have you got anything else to say?
Not the only thing that did make my heart sink when JBL was out was it immediately I knew where the end of this match was going. Um, with all the interferences we'd had prior to this, and knowing that JBL was going to be at ringside, I just thought, well, it's going to do something to get involved in the match.
I don't think Johnny was the right pick here.
No.
I don't think he was the right pick at all. Baron Corbin's gear was slightly better than last week.
It still wasn't great, was it?
No.
It still looked a bit.
Yeah, but it was slightly better. So I didn't mind that. I think he needs to change up his theme song. He's got the Happy Corbin theme song. And I just think Baron Corbin needs something a bit more edgier. If he is the modern day wrestling god, as he's proven out to be, the song ain't hitting. The modern day wrestling god is a Roman Reigns theme song. That gives me vibes of a wrestling god. But why are we now alluding to both Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin being wrestling gods?
Yeah, it's and no offense to Corbin, he's nowhere near in Roman's league, is he?
No, and actually that goes on to a bit later on, which I got annoyed at the crowd for. I get what they were trying, but I'll get onto it. Then Rebel Heart hits, great song.
No, he got a great reaction.
Yeah.
Gargano as he came down.
And then pretty much from there, he comes down and Johnny looks good. He's with the crowd. He's having a good time. Then JBL gets some commentary, and I put with that. I miss JBL on commentary. He does a lot more in that segment for commentary than the other guy does.
Kevin Patrick or whatever. Yes, the Irish guy. Yeah.
Corey Graves is amazing, and do you know what? I really like Corey Graves. And JBL does a lot for commentary, and the kind of heel interaction back and forth and stuff.
It's good, yeah. I mean, the same thing as well with Corey Graves and Seth when he was doing commentary. They had some great interaction together.
Yeah, there was even one point going back to it. Sorry, with Seth that the camera was on Seth and Corey goes like, "Get the camera off of Seth. He's having a moment." Although I'm sick of hearing of the Attitude Era all the time.
Yeah, that's all JBL seems to bring up at the moment, the Attitude Era. Or if he was in the Attitude Era, he'd be carrying me bags around. Or the Attitude Era was what, 4 or 5 eras ago? We've had Ruthless Aggression, PG.
Yeah. It's a good. It's sounds like I think when it is, but it's like the 1998 to 2002.
I think was when the Attitude Era ended. So that's 20 years ago. The Attitude Era's ended. So yeah, we don't need to keep. It was great for the time, but looking back now, we don't need to go back to it. We just need something new and fresh, and that's gonna grab people's attention as much as the Attitude Era did back then.
Yeah. There was a nice table slam. And then again, that's how you throw Omos. Corbin picks him up and launches Johnny Gargano. That's how you should do it. There was a really nice modified neck breaker. So he picks him up on his back. It's a bit like the KOD angle where he got on the back, but then he spins him around and drops him into a neck breaker. Loved it. It was just clean, Corbin. And then this is where the crowd starts chanting, "You can't wrestle." And I'm sorry, crowd. I disagree wholeheartedly. Baron Corbin is genuinely one of the better wrestlers on that roster.
Yep, he's definitely got the skills in the ring. He just, if they were counting that he had no charisma, I'd probably be more inclined to agree with him. But there's definitely nothing wrong with his wrestling ability.
Yeah, I get where the crowd was trying to go for, but I'm sorry, if you're gonna chant at him, chant something that is probably actually gonna mean something, because "You can't wrestle" is the biggest load of crap I've heard. My crowd, because again, the End of Days looks so smooth. The Deep Six, the modified neck breaker, the fall away slam that he's now doing, which was JBL's. And there's a nice fall away slam, just launches him over his head.
That Kevin Patrick did call the Deep Six the Ring Around the Roses.
Ring Around the Roses. I loved it. I loved that. For the simple fact of, it's the Deep Six. It will be. But that tends to our culture of Ring Around the Roses. But us as Europeans get that a lot more than them.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little callback to, properly show he's Irish kind of thing.
Yeah, really had KBL off, didn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant. It's like, where'd you get this guy? There was a really nice counter to the rope. So Baron Corbin goes underneath the rope, comes back up, and as soon as he gets back up this time, he gets a super kick to the face.
Kick, yeah, I've got that noted down as
I'm
well.
like, thank the Lord. I love that move, but it is about time someone kicked his face clean off from getting back on the rope. And then the table's been cleared. Johnny Gargano is on the table with JBL's hat on. I love this. And he does the whole gun finger salute and then puts it in his pocket.
Blowing the smoke off of
Yeah, he's like, proper Texas cowboy kind of thing. Me here, I'd have stamped on that hat. I'd have done all that, put the hat down, and stamped on it. And that's what causes JBL to get infuriated and cause the interference later on, but he doesn't.
Yeah, he just carries on wearing the hat, doesn't he?
Yeah.
While he's wrestling.
Because at that point, I think it's what it is. He's about to get in the ring with a hat. Baron Corbin and the ref are having a minute.
Yeah, JBL sweeps his legs out and sends Gargano down on the side of the apron, doesn't he?
Yep. And then chucks him in the ring, and end of days, 1, 2, 3. Baron Corbin wins.
Interference finish.
Yeah. I said it was a 4, but it was a 3.5 because of the interference.
I'd voted this as a 3 for me, because by now I was getting quite sick and tired of the interference finishes.
Yes. Controller. The thing for me here was very simple. Baron Corbin's come back, and you've got like I said, Baron Corbin's great. Then come with JBL, we'll see where that goes. But Johnny lost. Should never have been Johnny Gargano. Bad mistake, because Johnny's got really good momentum in what he's doing, and it chucks him into another storyline that realistically he doesn't need. Keep him on track with this Dexter and Miz. It could have been anybody. You could have had you could have had the Miz, in all fairness, walk down. Heel versus heel wouldn't work, but I just think Johnny is the wrong choice here. I'm not happy with the finish. I'm quite upset Johnny lost, actually, if I'm honest, because again, another interference finish.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin is a good wrestler. At the end of days, doesn't get kicked out of. You don't need to give him that distraction finish.
No. How many was that now? Was that 4?
So
5 matches, 4 distractions.
First match, interference. Then we've got interference-ish with Miz and R-Truth, but still interference. Then Ali and Austin Theory was interference again. Omos was interference in himself.
Yeah.
That's 3. And then JBL. So that's 4 matches. 5 matches, 4 interferences. Is it? Let's have a look. Let me just double check that.
We had the Elias match that didn't have interference. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 4 matches, interference, 2 matches not.
Yeah.
But even then, they weren't the best matches. The 2 matches were Chad and Elias, which, meh, and Omos and 4 wrestler characters.
Yeah.
So, match quality was, but match finishes were awful at this point.
Yeah.
And I'll finally on to my last page, because see, the thing is, I've noticed, when it's negative, there's more to write about, because you get peed at it. When it's positive, there's not a lot to write about, but you praise it. But this episode, thus far, was very negative, I'd have to say, and it doesn't get any better. We have a Bianca Belair promo.
Yeah, I didn't mind this. She was going on about how it's for her. It's more than being about the championship, because she's seeing all her friends being taken out by Damage Control. She seemed fired up for the match. Wanted revenge on Bayley more than anything.
Bit heelish.
Yep.
But I don't mind it. Gives her a bit of a character boost of You know, she is nice. She is a good bubbly person.
Hmm.
But she has got a mean side, and look, she cares for her friends. They get took out. She wants revenge.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Then it says we're gonna get a recap of Brock versus Bobby.
Hmm.
We don't.
No, we get. Is it the Miz card next? I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um. Basically, yeah. So still on about the truth, and it's
Hmm.
next week apparently is the reveal.
Yeah.
If Miz doesn't, Johnny will. I'll be honest, I doubt they will. They'll probably extend it. But then again, next week is a Halloween special. It
So
is
it
on
could be.
Halloween.
Hmm.
So
Could have Dexter there.
yeah.
Hmm.
The only thing I got from this was you've not even signed it, and you're rich. Put some money in it at least.
Yeah.
Brilliant
I
stuff.
mean, it was another funny segment between, but as we've said earlier, Miz and Gargano just work well together.
Yeah. Then we get the Brock versus Bobby recap.
Hmm.
Um, because they're fighting at Saudi Arabia, but they're not on the
Yep.
show at all, which was a bit weird. There's no Bobby, no
Hmm.
Brock, but Brock returns next week apparently. So
Yeah, we got told that he'll be there next week, and
yeah.
I'm going to assume that because that's going to next week's Raw is going to be the go home show for Crown Jewel, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
I put very hyped this match. I can't wait for Bobby Brock.
no, it's going to be good. And normally, like, I'd think, oh, Brock's just going to walk it, but I'm not sure about this one.
A
Could
good
go either way,
a good meaty
and
match.
yeah, and I think it'd be even better for Lashley to win again.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um so then at this point, and I'm literally gonna leave this one over to you, is 30 minutes left. Main event time.
Yeah,
Uh,
we've got. Oh, no, you go.
I'll just basically say we've got 30 minutes of women. So yes, in all fairness, there wasn't a lot of women's matches on there, and I get they tried to make up with a 30-minute women's segment match
Hmm.
altogether, but still needs to be more.
Yeah. Um, I mean, they did pick two women for this match. They've got probably their top two stars at the moment in the women's division on Raw,
Yep.
um, Bailey and Bianca. And I mean, the match itself, I really enjoyed these guys. These two just have a great match every time I see them wrestling. They had one at the ladder match back at Extreme Rules.
Yep.
When they've had like the trios match with the rest of Damage Control and Oscar and Alexa at Clash in the Castle, I I just really get into these matches between these two because Bianca's so strong but so athletic as well, and then Bailey's got the experience,
Yeah.
and that was really what this match was about. Could Bailey out outthink essentially Bianca and negate her power advantage with all everything that she knows? We had Bianca using power on Bailey, but Bailey sort of started working over Bianca's arm right from the get go,
Hmm.
really, working on her shoulder to try and negate that power advantage. And this was like a constant thing that we saw throughout the match. And the commentators were picking up on it as well, sort of commenting on, oh, look at all the damage she's taken. How at one point she did a suplex on Bailey, and this was about halfway through after her arm had really been beaten on, and the commentators were sort of saying, "Oh, Bianca's still got all this power and able to deliver a suplex to Bailey with her arm in such a bad state." Um, there were lots of points where Bailey continued to work over the arm. Uh, she almost hits Bianca with a KOD.
Hmm.
But Bianca turns it into a Bailey to belly suplex, her
Yeah.
old finisher,
Bianca to
which I
belly.
thought was a nice bit. Yeah, Bianca to belly, a good one, yeah. And that was another near fall. Um, they were trading blows at one point, just in the middle of the ring, both of them slugging it out.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, this is not something that Bailey's ever going to win. But she was standing her ground with Bianca. Um, Then Bianca hit her with a big spine buster for another near fall.
Yep.
Um, I've got here. These two are so good they can't have a bad match.
Yeah.
We then eventually the distractions started to filter in, which was something that we had to expect really with
Yeah.
Damage Control hanging around on the outside. So
Just
you might as well take it from.
so before I'll let you count up. Before we get to that, my notes were non-title match question mark. I was a bit weird to see this as a non-title match. In all fairness, and I put straight after it, oh, good chemistry. And then straight underneath, oh, slight miscommunication. At that point, I was like, oh, they've got really good chemistry. Then Bianca goes up to the rope, the turnbuckle, sorry. And there's a moment where Bianca looks back at Bailey, sorry. Bailey looks at Bianca and they start to judder. It's, again, I know everything's not smooth and perfect, but it's at that moment where it's just that slight miscommunication just derails the match. Because Bailey's either stepped funny or not in position. They've gone to do something. They've juddered to each other to try and say, look, do it. And you can see clearly. Slight, I mean, it didn't make
I mean, I didn't even notice that for me. And I, if I was in their position, I'd probably, I would expect to be making mistakes.
Oh, yeah. Again, I am not saying
how hard they're working. Yeah.
Like, the rest is what you said. A good TV match. It was a really good match. I saw that slight miscommunication, and I completely understand. You know, you're always gonna have, but to me, it stood out quite a bit because they were just stood kind of looking at each other, and it's like, there was an elbow again. I'm really bad with these botch moments because I look at them and go, oh, that was botched. So Bailey goes for a second rope elbow, but it looks like she slips. And as she goes, because it's that low, they don't get no height on it, so she just falls and does the elbow. But when she goes down, I didn't see Bianca's knee go up. So at this point, I'm thinking, they've gone down and they've basically botched it because Bailey's going, oh, my arm, and Bianca's rolling out, but none of them are doing anything. It wasn't until the replay got shown that Bailey goes for the elbow off the ropes, and Bianca actually lifts her knees up to hit the arm.
Yeah, I know what bit you're talking about now.
But from the first angle, if it wasn't for the replay slowing it down, I would have thought that was botched. Because she came straight off. She looks like she slips off the rope anyway. And then she lands, and she's holding her elbow. I'm like, well, what's happened here? Replay shows...
Bianca's lifted her knees up to...
There's a point as well where Bianca goes up to the top rope. So they're fighting on the top rope. Bianca does a backflip off the top rope, and then runs straight back up to the top rope.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's just no need for it. In that circumstance, for me, backflip, go up and take her legs, or do something. From where she was, she backflip off, and then jump back up again. You're in the same exact spot. You've just shown me you can do a backflip. I know you're athletic. You've proven it time and time again. Change it up slightly. Then I also put so much promotion for Roman. We got another FS1 advert for Roman Reigns. Interference again, as you said, which we'll get onto in a second. And the final bit from me was, which you're going to probably come on to, is I'm surprised Bianca kicked out or something, which I'll let you follow on from. So we get interference.
Yes, we had interference. First of all, Sky and Kai were on the outside. They started working over Bianca by the announce table. And the referee basically saw them. And so he sort of jumped out and threatening to throw him out. And while all this is going on, all of a sudden you notice on the top, on the turnbuckle, there's someone up there, and they come flying down, crash into all three of them, the referee and Kai and Sky, and wipe them all out. And then all of a sudden, that person's disappeared again.
So did you have any idea who it was at this point?
No, I didn't know who it was.
I was like, I was so confused. I was trying to think who the hell, like, who's coming, because it looked like they were assisting Bianca.
Yeah, this was my original thought. I thought they're assisting Bianca. I thought it's not Oscar, it's not Alexa. Maybe it's Becky, but there's not red hair, so it can't be her.
Yeah.
So yeah, at this point, I was just a bit sort of perplexed by what was going on, and I sort of I had to rewatch this bit because I lost track of everything at this point. So she comes flying out, And then Bianca sort of manages to get back in the ring, and Bailey goes for her finisher, the Rose Plant.
Yep.
And Becky, I've got Becky on the brain now. Bianca manages to wriggle out of that and sends Bailey into the ropes, catches her, and hits her with the KOD. And so, obviously, at this point, though, the referee is still down. Bianca covers her, and the crowd are all sort of doing the usual 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6,
and
7,
then
8.
Bianca sort of realizes, oh, no one's here counting. So she gets up to go and see what's going on. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the person who jumped on Damage Control and the ref's back and pushes Bianca into the ring post. I think it was the shoulder that Bailey had been working over the whole match as well that went crashing into it. And then as sort of Bianca staggers back out of it, she gets her in a fisherman neck breaker and hits Bianca with that. By this point, we know it's Nikki Cross now.
Yeah.
It's back. Crazy Nikki Cross, yeah. Not. I mean, I was glad to see it's not Nikki Ash that we've got there.
Yes.
Anyway, another referee comes racing down. Bailey gets the cover. 1, 2, 3, and Bailey wins. And so at this point, I'm thinking, okay, so it's a bit odd because first of all, Nikki wiped out the ref and Damage Control, and then so I'm assuming she was here to help out Bianca, but then she's got back in the ring and she's basically helped Bailey beat Bianca.
Yeah.
And then obviously we see her again, and despite Bailey winning, Nikki Cross just mounts her and starts pummeling her, and then gets up and takes her jacket off and start whacking her. So
yeah, that looked painful.
Yeah. We obviously Nikki's not on anyone's side, and she just wants to cause as much disruption as possible for the future.
Yeah. Only other things I really had from this was there was a nice super Bailey to belly from the second rope, and Bianca kicked out, which just defames the Bailey to belly. Nice bit of super strength. The powerbomb onto the table, then into the ring post.
Into the post, yeah.
Yeah,
and then she dropped her face first onto the apron as well.
I thought she was going to go for another table spot because it didn't break, because they clearly on commentary said, "Oh, she's gone through the table," and Corey goes, "No, she's gone on the table." So I was expecting. I think there was supposed to be a table break.
Yeah,
it didn't happen, but I'm expecting a table break. But yeah, so I had no idea who this was when Nikki was out at the time. Jumped on, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gone. And I'm really like, what the hell's just happened? And I was really, at this point, it's nearly 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm very tired. And my mind's going, I don't know what's going off. So yeah, Nikki does all that, and it's great. And Nikki Cross. No Nikki ASH, it's Nikki Cross. No. Thank you. And she comes in, and like I say, it's what you said. She lays out Bianca. She lays out thingy. So you think to yourself, well, hold on a second here. She's laid out Damage Control. Oh, she's on Bianca's side. And she gets in and lays out Bianca. Bailey pins her, which annoyingly defames the Rose Plant as well. Bailey hasn't got a finisher that can finish, apparently. Bit crap. And Nikki Cross's finisher, and it was the ceiling deal. And then Nikki Cross starts attacking the crap out of Bailey, starts whipping it, and we just get this thing of her smiling. She's back to crazy Nikki Cross. But the crowd hated this.
And what it was very flat and
and the boos weren't boos for Nikki. You could clearly tell the boos for the segment. People were annoyed that the segment ended because it was quite abrupt. It was a weird ending because Nikki's just standing there and it's okay, Nikki's back, but you think she'd get a pop or a reaction. She didn't.
It wasn't really anything, was it?
It was, like you said, it was flat, and the people were booing it because, like, well, this is not the way to introduce Nikki Cross. What you do with Nikki Cross, personally, is you have her take out EO, so you take out Sky and Kai, and you basically have it where I'd say the better idea here was to have Bianca win.
Mhm.
And I know that obviously they're setting up Bailey and Bianca, but what you do here is you have Nikki take out Bailey, and you think to
Mhm.
yourself, "Oh my god, Nikki Cross is on Bianca's side,"
Mhm.
and that lot she's helped the face out, and they might celebrate, and then bam, Nikki Cross just nails Bianca.
Yeah, that would have had a much better.
That way, it's because it went heel face heel,
Mhm.
which didn't make sense because she'd already took out um damage control. So then
Mhm.
when she took
Yeah.
out Bianca, you kind of already knew she's gonna go for Bailey.
Mm.
She's already took out, and I think if she went heel face,
Yeah. You'd have.
then
It would have been more of a surprise, wouldn't it?
yeah, because oh my god, Nikki Cross, she's just going after everyone. Where you were like, well, she's already gone after damage control face.
Mhm.
She's gone after Bianca heel. She's gone after Bailey. What?
Mhm.
It just a weird sequence of segments. Well, parts
Mhm.
leading up to that. Again, that's my personal thing. If people
Yeah, I
think different,
suppose the only way I could see why she went after damage control first was to clock the referee so she could get involved in the match.
possibly, yeah.
But still, it was a bit of a confusing, bit of a mess there with the way
Yeah.
she went about things.
You guys in the comments think of any way how you could re-debut Nikki Cross better? Let me
Mm-hmm.
know. At us on Twitter. Let us know either way. And to finish off, I gave this a 3.5, and then the interference made it a 3.
Yeah. I gave this a 4.
There. Only reason it wasn't a 4 for me was just if in to start off with, if Sky and Kai didn't come out, it would have been a 4. Just
Mm-hmm.
have Nikki Cross interfere with both of them at some point. That's
Yeah.
not an issue. But again, the heels are being heels. And I get that, but you don't need to have interference with every match. So at this point, 7 matches, 5 of them are interference matches.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
2 of them are Omos in the handicap match, which was flat, and
Mm-hmm.
Elias versus Chad, which was an impromptu match.
Mm-hmm.
Not quality, because some of them were good, but just matches weren't good on this card.
No.
There was an issue with
Uh,
every match, personally.
and part of the issue as well is that they've got people coming out and it's making it obvious there's going to be interference. Like when Seth was out,
Yeah,
you knew that Seth was going to get involved because Mustafa Ali was fighting. In the Corbin match, you knew that JBL was going to get involved. In the Judgment Day match, you knew that the ones outside, were going to get involved. And like you say, yes, you expect this from heel factions, but it's just happening in every single match. And
yeah,
it'd be nice if like one or two of these matches, yeah, they tried to interfere, but it backfires and the face got a
yeah.
victory. That would make it at least a little bit different. But no, it was just the same heel interference, heel win.
Like, I'm sorry, but in the first match, Finn should beat Carl Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need help. Finn should
No.
be able to beat Carl Anderson on his own. I go to Bianca and Bailey, fair dues, that was that one. Baron Corbin, Gargano, bad matchup. I
Mm.
think so. That I couldn't say who should win that. Ali needed the win in the Theory match.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why they
Yeah.
made him lose. But again, another match that was okay but didn't need interference.
No. No.
Again,
I mean, with theories, I suppose he's had some losses in the past, hasn't he, recently? But he's still got the Money in the Bank briefcase,
yeah,
so he does not need a win.
he's always
Whereas
protected.
Ali needed it because he sort of just started this feud with what appears to be a feud with Seth, and
Yeah,
he's lost. Although it wasn't against Seth, he's already lost a match against
yeah. Like,
Austin
how
Theory.
do you expect to beat Seth if you can't beat Austin Theory?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
like, that's what the issue for me is. Ali needed the win in that match.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna ask. So I'm gonna change the way it runs because usually would say our finish. But who was your worst performer and your best performer on Raw last night?
Oof. Um,
Oh well, best superstar and worst superstar.
Best superstar for me, and right, I'm gonna I'm gonna have to have two here,
Okay.
and They didn't do a lot of wrestling,
I know where you're going with this.
but it was Miz and Gargano. I just thought all the stuff they did last night
Yeah.
was brilliant.
Yeah. My best personally is R-Truth and Johnny. Well, those three. Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny is my top. Johnny is at top. I think everything he was in, he was brilliant in. Whether it be a JBL segment, R-Truth, Miz, just everything Johnny Gargano did for me was top notch.
Yeah, and like we say, there wasn't a lot of wrestling for these people, but the actual segments they win, and I'd say the segments last night were better than the majority of the stuff in the matches.
Yes, a lot of the segments were really good last night. Yeah, I agree to that one. Worst.
And, well, this is a no-brainer because we've already talked about this guy for about 10-15 minutes. Omos.
Yeah. It's. I would love to be different, but it's hard to be different when it's straight in front of you. Johnny Gargano was the best performer, superstar last night, I think. And yeah, Omos was the worst. Again, nothing against Omos, but personally, performance-wise, Omos just ain't there. Johnny is there. Johnny's got the characteristics, the performance, and personality. Omos just hasn't got it. So that is mine and Saul's worst and best performer of Raw.
Just going back to Omos, and the reason why you could have said, those jobbers would be the worst performers, but you didn't expect anything from them. Whereas Omos has been around long enough that you'd expect him to actually be able to do something, and he just didn't.
Even the jobber, when he was putting his fist into the jobber's face, his reactions, he actually showed character. He's like, oh god, that's a massive. Yeah, it was a bit weird and uncanny because his face was a bit meh. But he was like, oh crap, oh my god, still showed character. Almost was like, yeah, I've got a big fist. Get over it. Very cool. So yeah, that is mine and Saul's worst and best performer of Raw. The final rating for Raw then.
I went for 3.
I went 2.5. Compared to last week on a 4, this episode was terrible for me. Interference.
It definitely dropped down.
Yeah, interference after interference after interference. Quite literally, 5 out of 7 matches were interference based. Then we had Omos and Jobbers, and we also had Chad and Elias. So match quality across the board, on paper, just wasn't the best. Segments were the better. So last week the segments were good and the matches were good. This week it's segments over the matches. Yeah, that is our Raw review of the 24th of October edition of Monday Night Raw. If you have any questions or queries you want to chuck to us, we are open to adding segments to this podcast, like questions from you guys, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be in the comments down below. Let us know, and we will see you next week for the Halloween edition.
Yeah, from Dallas.
From Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, we won't actually be in Dallas though.
No, we won't. Unfortunately, we won't be in Dallas. We would love to be, but we're not. Yeah, the Halloween edition of Raw. So there's definitely got to be some pumpkin related stuff. Pumpkin on a head match or something. It is quite literally Halloween, the night that Raw is live. Obviously for us it will be the 1st of November when it goes over, but it would have been Halloween night. So yes, massive thank you for myself. And any words from you, Saul?
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Lovely. Oh, there is to it, really. But yes, without further ado, thank you guys for watching the podcast. This has gone on for an hour 40 near enough so far. It's what happens when there's a lot of negative stuff to talk about. It happens. But again, thank you everyone for watching and supporting the first podcast episode. And we will both see you later. Peace.
Bye.